Then you have the 250 million single source inflated contract awarded to Resource Assets Limited, Baumia's brother's company, Ibrahim Baumia, who really controls cocoa roads in this country. And when you read the Auditor General's report, it says that 85% of cocoa road projects were single source. Can you believe that? Baumia and Akufo-Addo put out tweets when they were in opposition that the era of sole source is coming to an end, that everything will be done competitively, that will have value for money, that inflation of contracts will not be allowed. Read the Auditor General's report on cocoa roads. 85% of cocoa road projects were single source. I mean, such a betrayal. And then you see their family members in there, you know, at the receiving end. All of these inflated road projects, we need to look into them. Then you have the 85 million Ghana City stadium renovations, another family affair. Kelvin Oforiatta, you know, who owns these companies. And to think that we spent, and before this expose, Ghanaians didn't know that we were spending so much on stadia renovations, Esipon, Tamale, and Accra. And yet, you remember, we disgraced this country, the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, disgraced this country, something that has never happened. We were banned by CAF and FIFA as a country that we don't have a FIFA standard pitch. What a shame, what a disgrace. Meanwhile, we have spent 85 million. This, I'm talking about actual releases, and I intercepted all the documents. These are the payments.
2023?
Yes.
From 2023 to
actual, what? This is not just some projection or some contract document.
So there's a rehabilitation in 2019.
Yes. And 2023.
2023.
85 million Ghana cedis released. And the Ministry of Youth and Sport issued a statement confirming this, you know.
But they gave details why.
Yeah, trying to explain why we still got the ban and that the contractor was still at work. And have you gone to Esipon? I went there, I took videos. You know, the place is ramshackled. You know, it looks like a pigsty. 85 million Ghana cedis. And you see this business of, you know, single source contracts to family members, and there is no follow-up to make sure that they do the job. At least you get the job done. You know, and yet we got a ban. Then you have the 13th African Games. Operational expenses alone, $48 million. And this is far in excess. Parliament had approved 100 million Ghana cedis. That's what they said they needed. And yet, they ended up spending over 600 million Ghana cedis on very, very questionable expenses. And remember that this is the time that they were spending over $80 million on feeding. You remember feeding, you know, and then what they did with, you know, accreditation and all of that. The whole 13 African Games, which they have spent over $220 million on. We need value for money.
And this came before the Public Accounts Committee.
And they made a mess of themselves. You follow the proceedings.
Yeah, so
we had to even set up a special committee to look into the 13th African Games. And do you know that as we speak, we have been demanding a full account, a breakdown. The outgoing sports minister has not provided that.
Let's see.
Then you have the almighty SML scam. Over $3 billion. You know, Manasseh Azuri did a great job here. You know, they were annually raking in over $100 million. And the KPMG report has vindicated Manasseh Azuri Awuni. And remember that they were refusing to publish the KPMG report. So, under these people's tenure, I mean, it was like there was an organized cabal that just set out to loot, to make sure that the Ghanaian people's resources are taken by a few. And that is why there was so much suffering, so much pain. You know, so when I heard Honorable Sefo earlier saying, oh, they did so much for Ghana, really, you know, the resources that came in, look at where you took our public debt to, from 122 billion to over 750 billion. What do you have to show for it? Should Ghanaians be suffering this way? And it is because of this, because of the siphoning. Then don't forget there is also the illegal printing. That happened at the Bank of Ghana. Over 80 billion Ghana cedis The Bank of Ghana said, oh, we were in crisis, and so they had to.
Yes.
But our
So
laws are very clear.
that's illegal.
Our laws are very, very clear. You cannot print in excess of 5% of the previous year's revenue. The law is very, very clear.
Well, so they indicated they had to do that to save the economy.
Save the economy.
impact
Why
of the
didn't they?
DDEP.
Why don't you come to Parliament? Why are you not transparent? Why should we discover this? Why do you do this in contravention of the law?
So this should have been subject to parliamentary approval.
Yes,
Okay.
and even that, with the parliamentary approval, there are limits under the law. They didn't do that. Over 80 billion. Imagine what 80 billion Ghana cedis can do. Just look at the figures, not million. 80 billion. So those who are going to say, oh, all right, it's just a witch hunting, it's not necessary and all of that. I mean, have they looked at the figures? Do they remember the cases? Over 80 billion. Then you have the West Blue scandal. They said West Blue was inflated under President Mahama. You know, it should not even have been entered into. And the likes of Gabi Ochidakun were very loud in opposition. They win power, and now they become the lawyers of West Blue and say that, and they say that what they said, the contract they said was inflated. And that President Mahama had engaged in cronyism. Suddenly, they say President Mahama didn't pay enough. And as we speak, and this is the page of the consent judgment that they have gone for with Gabi Ochidakun, where West Blue is going to receive 95 million Ghana cedis. And they are going to be paid them in 3 tranches. 35 million by 25th July 2024.
Sorry.
And then you have another 35 million by 25th August 2024. Then 25 million but
Is that to say that these monies have been paid already?
it appears so, but we made clear in Parliament, we told the GRA Commissioner General not to pay, that we don't see a justification for this, particularly as the Attorney General did not put in any
So we'll have to
defense.
check whether those payments have
Exactly.
been made contrary to the position that
Exactly.
in Parliament. Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we
Then,
going to finish?
then you have the $12 million Ejapa. We thought that we had stopped Ejapa. You know that really scandalous transaction, which was really going to just collateralize our royalties, and the lack of transparency using tax havens and all of that. We didn't know the signatories to the accounts. We thought we had stopped it with civil society support, only for it to emerge that apparently $12 million has been spent on so-called preparatory works. We have to pursue that $12 million and know where it is. Then remember the PDS scandal, where over $190 million was lost. Then there's also over 1 billion revenues that PDS collected, which they have not declared.
Except
which
says this is
not,
just a tip of the iceberg.
yes,
really.
and that there's more. Then there's the $24 million Pullman Hotel tax waiver, granted to President Akufo-Addo's brother-in-law, Dr. Kwame Nyantechi Owusu, and nothing has happened at the site. The Pullman Hotel has not come up. Then you have the $2 million failed SkyTrain project. Don't forget about that. The Auditor General has confirmed, that GIF, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, invested our money, our taxes, $2 million, and we can't find the people. So $2 million gone. And people will say that we shouldn't go after these guys who claim that they have an entity registered in Mauritius. We need our $2 million that can at least be put in the Women's Development Bank, to take care of our women entrepreneurs. Then you have the Access Citizens Ghana Limited, the $38.2 million visa processing scandal. They didn't follow the procurement laws and all of that at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then you have the infamous Cecilia Dapa, affair, over $1 million, 300,000 euros, and all of that found under her bed. Then you have DRIP. DRIP, the analysis we have done, and I'm glad that the Deputy Local Government Minister is here. DRIP, we did an RTI request. It was single-sourced, contrary to what Bawumia had promised the Ghanaian people. And to think that Bawumia, who was a champion of competitive tendering, that they would not single-source, that era is coming to an end. And he was a champion of this DRIP initiative. $178.7 million when we did an RTI and demanded the contract. And we then decided to write to the contractors, Lingwon, to ask the prices if we were buying it on the open market, how much it would cost. We discovered that this drip intervention has been inflated by over $102 million. And we have served notice that we are not going to pay this. You know, what they did was to just pay about 15%, and they've kicked the can, expecting us to pay the rest. We are not going to pay this because the work we have done.
Equipments have been delivered, so then
but
you're not going to...
We will not. We are not going to be party to that. Then you have the Bonkra Inland Port, another $33.3 million scandal. They decided to totally, do what was not approved by Parliament. They threw away the parliamentary approval, awarded a contract to their cronies, and that has become a matter of judgment there. Then you remember the Moshosho rice scandal, wickedly rebagging, contaminated, weevil-infested rice, rebagging it, a criminal enterprise in a government facility. And even the fines that the company was supposed to pay, they haven't paid fully. So laments will be pursued, apart from their criminal action with those in government at the NAFCO, the board and the management of NAFCO, the Free SHS Secretariat. We have to go after them. Then the National Service ghost name scandal, over $4.5 billion, the work that the Fourth Estate has done. And let me place on record that yesterday, the Fourth Estate came to present, a dossier of all the work, and you should see it's shocking. Look, some of the pictures, the IDs in the database, they just went on the internet and picked the pictures. Kenyans, you see, because now the technology exists. So so you see Kenyans, South Africans, people from the DRC, and just created, fake IDs for them, and they are being paid every month.
National Service.
Yeah. And when you look at the database, there are people who are in their 90s. 90-year-olds, born 1931, 1943, who are doing national service. And they are paying them. Incredible. Oh, yes.
You're serious about this?
We'll show you the evidence. Yeah, I mean, it's shocking. Look, you've seen the photos when people are wondering, why was the COP Kofi Boakye so angry? Let him smile small. You can't smile. People were saying Kpebu was so angry. Look, you will just be outraged, and you will be devastated when you see the evidence and the things that these people, have done. Then you remember the 2.6 billion dubious duplicative digitalization deals. We have been asking the Health Insurance Authority and the Health Ministry to give us in Parliament an audit that we instructed to be done on these IT projects. Up to now, they have not been able to produce it. Over 2.6 billion on just duplication, and no wonder they were embarrassed with that E-Gate scandal, So you have the next one, the $36 million COVID-19 Smart Workplace Project. $36 million. The Auditor General says that nothing happened. This is another Nigerian, Philip Olaya, his companies. He's totally controlling the communication sector. They said during COVID-19, they were going to do smart workplace so that public sector workers can work from home. The Auditor General discovered that nothing was done, and yet payments have been made. And they paid him, gave him the money, which was clearly a freebie, without even going to the PPA.
I see. So
and then you have the same chap, 48 billion asset digital solutions.
There are about 30 cases we have just.
Then there's the $8.5 million Blasters AFCON budget without parliamentary approval. You remember the AFCON expose that we made. So now when you put,
I don't want us to rush through this.
Yes.
So we're gonna end here. This is just the first part.
Yes.
Because I see that there are quite a lot.
Yes, and when you let me just this is just we just selected 30.
I see.
And when you put the figure together of the 30, $18.4 billion. Can you believe that?
$18.4 billion.
That's
the list of all what we have just run through.
So what can be potentially retrieved, recovered, 18.4 billion.
And there is
This is just 30 of the scandals.
and there is a probability of being able to recover
Absolutely,
this.
absolutely. The Auditor General is saying
works.
that. The Auditor General is saying that if we have political will, if we decide to go after these people, we can retrieve. The Auditor General uses the word recoverable, that we can retrieve these monies.
That's 8.8 billion out of the 18.4. He says we can recover.
We can recover $18.4 billion, and this is just the financial losses. I was going to go to state capture very quickly.
So let's make a date with our viewers, because I want us to get into these matters for the greater good. So let's end here. State capture is going to be the part 2 of this engagement.
Okay.
And so that we'll get into it. Okay. But if you don't recover this, what should be the verdict of the Ghanaian people on you?
No, it will be a great disappointment, and it will be a betrayal of the Ghanaian people. And that is why we must commend the president-elect. You know, sometimes people are elected into office, and then the euphoria, the excitement, they even forget about their campaign promises. And, you know, but President Mahama has demonstrated, you know, a tremendous, you know, loyalty to the Ghanaian people. He has demonstrated that he just didn't say these things, you know, just for the votes and for political capital, that he's really interested in how we can salvage this country, stop the hemorrhage, and make sure that these recoveries that he will do, they are rechanneled into the reconstruction of our country. You know, because it will be totally unacceptable, you know, so treacherous, you know, and so condemnable that over $18.4 billion in just 30 scandals which can be recovered, you allow people to, I mean, the wrong pockets to keep these funds when the people are impoverished, the people are suffering. I mean, have you traveled across this country?
Right.
You know that people are dying from cholera because of insanitary conditions. So I'm glad the local government minister is here. You know the number of people who have died because of cholera. I mean, cholera, which really should have been totally eradicated. Human beings are drinking with animals from you know, dugouts because there's no potable water. You know, look at the state of our roads. Do you know the last time we did a hospital re-equipping program? More than 12 years ago. That's why we've not done a hospital re-equipping. You heard the Otumfo, the respected king, talk about the state of Komfanoche and calling on people to come and help. You've heard our hospital administrators say that we don't have MRIs, we don't have, you know, X-ray machines, and to think that how much did we go for from the IMF? That we are going through all of these conditionalities, just $3 billion. This is more than 6 times that.
You see,
so we cannot accept a situation where after all of these scandals, that is why oral, talk to the average Ghanaian, oral is so popular. Because of these scandals. The Ghanaian people have seen it, they've lived it. And they want corruption to be costly. They want people who engage in this. And you see, let me conclude on this note. If the president-elect does not show good faith and does not, with this high expectation because of the high mandate he has received, pursue oral, you know what that means? It means that he and his appointees are preparing the grounds to do the same thing. That's what it will mean.
And that's why...
And we will be punished. And you see how the Ghanaian people are voting. Now there's no safe seat in Ghana. There's no safe seat. So the Ghanaian people will have punished us in no time. So we ought to be commended. The president-elect must be commended. That what this means is that he is not going to create these same conditions for his appointees to engage in this kind of conduct.
I'm happy that that reality is evident in your daily reflections, that this has to go beyond just the politicking. Because it's one thing doing the campaign of corruption and actually prosecuting it. We've had instances in this country. In 2016, the MPP ran a potent corruption campaign against you and John Mahama. Over 8 years, we haven't really seen anything. He's come back, he's contested an election, he's won. So we are also watching and saying, how different will this corruption campaign be? Was it just for the politicking so that you'd let a candidate look so black and bad, then you look squeaky clean? and get into power and not prosecute. So the Ghanaian people, I'm happy that we are wide awake and watching. And that's why this exercise was very important this morning. So we understand beyond just the campaigns and the politicking you're doing with this corruption, is there evidence to really pursue oral with? We'll track you with this.
Absolutely, we have the evidence, and we've intercepted a lot of documents. Unfortunately, a lot of insiders are collaborating with us, And I say that, look, they are patriots.
MPP insiders.
Yes, they are patriots. Okay. They are Ghanaians who are nationalistic, who have to be commended. Okay. So as for the evidence, don't worry at all. There's really a preponderance of evidence, an overwhelming, evidence that we have gathered already, continue to gather, and we have no doubt that people are going to really pay for the atrocities against the Ghanaian people.
Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa is chair of the Oral Preparatory Committee, 5-member committee.